What is going on? You know the vibes. John D. Saunders here, your favorite web designer. And in today's video, I'm going over my process for how I automate social media content for my personal brand. And that helps me segue into leads, sales, and more. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to show you how it's done. And I'm also going to provide you with guides and templates that you can use. Let's go. Okay fam, so first thing I want to show you is an example design calendar. Now you can grab this below in the description, no opt-in, just want to make sure you have this to provide you with value. And so ultimately this is the calendar that I use, and I break up my social media content into three types. It's usually business tips, web design or branding tools, and then I do web design tips. Because my niche or niche is web design and development, I focus my efforts there because it can help in two ways. One, I can help other agency owners develop their skills with free value-based content as well as paid content like courses. But then I can also prove myself as a web designer to potential clients because they're seeing a look behind that process. So when you're creating content, just think about being as transparent as possible. And so what I do is I do this a couple ways. One, I'll add this content on here easily, right? So I have business tips and I have web branding tools. Now in this example, one post can be like build, delegate, update, dominate, right? Just a quick one to get some engagement from my followers. And then the second type of content, and I'll show you an example of this, is 3 resources I use to manage your online business. Sorry, this should say manage, I'm tripping over here. So let's put manage here, right? And so I'll put this content into this doc and I'll spend about 2 hours per month, right? I'll pick one time on the calendar where I'll go through this for 2 hours and create the content that's needed. And again, every day doesn't need to be a robust post. Some days it could be just something quick and concise that gets to the point. So in this example, this is what that looks like in the finished product. So what I'll have is an Instagram post, because I post mostly on Instagram and Twitter, with my logo here in the top left corner, a notification to turn on post notifications, the main piece of content, and then some call to actions here with my social media handles and a tagline. So that's the main thing you want to have on your main page. And then here is the visual content. So as you can see, we've got Deal here where I talk a little bit about Deal, I talk a little bit about Loom, and then I talk a little bit about Clockify. And so the main reason is I'm taking this content and then turning it into this. So what you want to do is you want to create a design calendar that you can then gift to a designer. And it's easy to find a designer on Upwork or other platforms that can turn this text-based content into a visual. Now you're probably asking, well, how will they know how to create it? How will they know how to make that content look and feel? That's when this comes in. This is a document that I created called the Training Social Content for John. This is for my personal page. Last time it was updated was in December. And so I have a training video here, and then there's 3 things you need: the design calendar, which we went over, and then a content reference. And what I'll do is I'll usually reference an Instagram page I really like. I follow this guy called Mizco on Instagram. His content's really clean and concise, and I love the overall aesthetic that he uses in his designs. And so what we want to do is not necessarily mimic his design, but take elements from this that work really well in regards to engagement. So looking at his page, I can tell that he's using really bold lettering on the main text. He's using different diverse backgrounds for interior content. You can see he's got these clear call to action sections here as well. So we want to be able to leverage that in our design. So when you're thinking about this in regards to the process, you want to make sure you have all the digital assets that a designer would potentially need to make sure that design is consistent with what you're looking for. So again, the design calendar, and then we have that content reference. And then what we'll do is we'll create a folder on the drive called Content Database, and this is where the designer will drop in all that content. So you can see this from May, we have all of them organized by folder and by date. And then if I click one, you'll be able to see all that content here for my content. So we've recently upgraded the design. That's why we're going through this whole new iterative process. And so that's why I wanted to show you what that looks like here so you have a general idea of that design. And as you can see here, this is our carousel design. Last thing I want to show you is another cheat code regarding Twitter. So with Twitter, it's a great platform. I really started using it only about a year ago. And the great thing about it is you can leverage your analytical data. So as I post on Twitter, I'll go in and I'll look at my top tweets. Based on my top tweets and the engagement, I know that that content can be repurposed on a different platform. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll link a direct tweet in here, and I'll show you just some examples here of old content. You can see all of this here, right? Some of them have just like a link to a tweet, and the designer will update that tweet to the design, okay? So when that happens, I'll look at a top tweet and I'll say, okay, this tweet did really well. It had 355 likes. This might perform well on Instagram too. And if you're like, well, I don't have a designer, I don't have time to be able to get the design done and get that content up, there's another thing that you can do also. So here's the last post that I made, and I literally just took a screenshot of that tweet and posted it on my Instagram. Now, it's not necessarily consistent with the overall branding look and feel, but it adds a nice element. And I'm telling you, Twitter shares, like Twitter screenshots on Instagram, perform insanely well. I know they're not beautiful, but they do perform well. And Buffer actually has a free mobile app called Buffer Remix, where it'll take your tweets and turn them into these really cool visual assets that you can use on Instagram, Facebook, and other items. So check that out. I'll link that below as well. So to kind of walk through my process, this is the overall layout that I have for my team. I say, team, we would like to create a repository of social media for John's Instagram carousel and general posts. These should be created ahead of time with new content created daily. John will be posting 3 times a day, Monday through Friday. So they visit the design calendar, they check the content, they create that content based on specs, they add that content to the database folder, and then label that content accordingly, and then notify our team via Slack. Now what this does is it makes it easy for me to just work a few hours a month creating that document, and then I can hire a designer to create out that content and schedule that content out for the month. So that way I've got some passive social media ready to rock and ready to roll. So I hope this was helpful, y'all. Thank you all for checking out my video content. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment below on if you're going to use our guides and templates. I'm just trying to provide as much value as I can, and I wish you all the best. Peace.